Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, Master's in Counseling Psychology, professional astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi. In this episode, my guest is SL369, cryptocurrency clairvoyant. We're so glad to have SL back on Cosmic Scene, and she has a lot to share with our listeners about the crypto trajectory in the upcoming months, so stay tuned. Welcome to the episode where we welcome back SL369 to Cosmic Scene. We haven't had a crypto podcast since June of 2022. In this episode, we'll discuss the upcoming trajectory of cryptocurrency from December 2022 through March 2023. I'll pipe in with the astrological energies that will be affecting cryptocurrency for better or for worse in the next few months. Stay tuned till the end of the episode when SL369 shares the crypto coins that could be good bets. Professional astrologer Jill Jardine will give you the astrological insights. We both predict that there are many changes on the rise for crypto. If you missed my previous episodes with SL369 from 2020-21 through 2020-22, let me reintroduce my guest. SL369 is a cryptocurrency clairvoyant who has been channeling visions about cryptocurrency coins since 2018. SL369 has an 80 to 85% accuracy with her crypto visions. SL stands for Starseed and Lightworker. The number 369 was inspired by Nikola Tesla's theory that these numbers are the key to the universe. SL369 shares her crypto visions on her website, www.sl369crypto.com. Brief disclaimer before we start. SL369 is not a financial advisor. Jill Jardine is not a financial advisor. She is an astrologer. Any information shared in this episode is for entertainment or informative use only. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome back to Cosmic Scene, SL369. Welcome, SL.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. It has been a long time since we spoke.
Yeah, and a lot has gone down in the crypto scene for the last 6 months, all kinds of intrigue and drama that you were filling us in on. So what is the current condition of the crypto market here in December 2022?
Yeah, after the lunar crash, FTX crash, so the whole industry is sort of like waiting and everyone's very cautious about where to put their money. A lot of people have withdrawn their money from exchange. They only keep a little bit if they want to trade. So my spirit guide said that the bottom is not in yet. So right now, Bitcoin is at 17,000. They gave me confirmation of 12,000. I just don't know what month it will fall on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can look at the astrology and find that out. So there's been a lot of drama. We're not going to really get into it because we don't want to use the podcast to talk about that. We're going to talk about the future, and the future being brighter for crypto and what astrological energies are going to be influencing the markets in the next few months. So here we are in mid-December, and things feel a little bit unstable. And again, I have to remind listeners, we're in a time period from the fallout of the eclipses that occurred in Scorpio and Taurus on October 26, 2022. It was a new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, always disruptive of markets when we have strong Taurus Scorpio energies. Then we had the full moon lunar eclipse on November 8th, 2022, Election Day here in the U.S., which was a full moon in Taurus, and the sun was in Scorpio in the mid-degrees. So we're not out of that fallout cycle, financial fallout. We are now in the sign Sagittarius, and we're going to go into Capricorn and Aquarius going forward, but we're still reeling from those Scorpio eclipses, which will affect the markets. And there will be some cycles that will feel more stable and optimistic, but we still, as you said, SL, I feel the bottom hasn't been reached yet.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But we are at a pretty low cycle here in early December. The early part of December until about the 23rd of December when we have a new moon in Capricorn. I don't see things rallying coming up. There may be a short cycle here at the end of the year where people start projecting more confidence back into the market, but I think that's short-lived because we're dealing with two major players that affect crypto being retrograde. Mercury will be retrograde at the end of the year from December 29th through January 18th, and Mars has been retrograde since the day before Halloween 2022, October 30th, which I think has a lot to do with the destabilization of the crypto markets. Mars is retrograde in Gemini until the 12th of January. So we're starting 2023 on not such a bright note for crypto or even for business and the economy, because in addition to those two retrograde planets, we have a lot of planets in Capricorn, and Capricorn is a tighten the belt sign. So economically, it's going to seem quite dire as we enter 2023. People are going to have sticker shock from their credit card bills, from the holiday season, from the high gas, oil prices, and some of these other economic indicators of recession. That's entering 2023. So to answer your question, I think the bottom may still show up in early 2023, probably before January 20th, 21st, 22nd, when we enter a whole new cycle. So yeah, we're at a down cycle in December, but I really think if I was to look at the January astrology, I'm going to give you wanted me to throw out a bad day. Well, here we go. I think that there's going to be a problem around the 5th and 6th of January as far as the market being very low. It's a full moon. The full moons always destabilize. And then it looks like right before Mars goes direct around the 10th and 11th. So there's some days here, let's just say from the 5th to the 11th of January. No news is good news around crypto, but it's good news if you want to buy low.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
You also wanted me to give good days.
Yes.
Okay, so the bad days in December, just to go back to December, we're in them in the very early cycle of December. There's a full moon around the 7th, on the 7th of December. It's a Sagittarius Gemini moon, full moon in Gemini with that moon with Mars. So that's a very volatile time for the markets. So from the 7th to about the 11th, 12th of December, we're going to see very low crypto, and there'll be a little bit of rallying around the time the sun goes into Capricorn, the 20th, the solstice, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. There'll be this, Christmas confidence. We also have Jupiter jumping into Aries, which is really going to amp some things up. And that jumps in on the 20th of December. So that cycle, the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, that whole time around Christmas could look like things are looking up, but it's short term. It's what I call Christmas confidence. And Jupiter is the cosmic Santa Claus in astrology. And when he goes into Aries, which is a new sign where there's going to be more action, we will see things starting to pick up.
But the rise will be temporary.
Right. I think when we get into the new year, when we come into the Capricornian Debbie Downer cycle, a lot of people's Christmas bubbles will be popped.
Mm-hmm. Earlier, you said during our offline conversation, you said that from January 22nd to April 21st, all the planets go direct.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad you remember that. So this is going to be a pretty wild time in general. Crypto, people's lives. We're going to have every planet going direct from the 22nd of January, which is when the planet Uranus, which has been retrograde since the summer of 2022, that will be going direct. And that coincides this time period. So Mercury goes direct on the 18th of January. So then we have January, this cycle from like the 18th of January through the end of the month. I can't wait for it, being an Aquarian myself, but it's going to be an Aquarian influx. So we got Mercury direct in the sign Capricorn. Then we're going to have that's on the 18th. On the 20th, the sun goes into Aquarius. On the 21st of January, it's the new moon in Aquarius, which what I've tracked for the last 2 years, that has been actually historically a good time for crypto when the new moon in Aquarius comes, which this year again is the 21st of January, which then creates the new lunar new year on the 22nd of January, which is the day Uranus goes direct. So we may see some really interesting activity 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, like that last 10 days of January, we can see some rally. And the Lunar New Year that's going to begin on the 22nd of January 2023 is the year of the rabbit, which is generally considered lucky. Think of a rabbit's foot. It's considered a lucky year and a prosperous year. So that, I think, is a real time period to look at and see how much it may rally, how much it does go up, because that's going to indicate some movement in the next couple months through April. So January 22nd through April 21st, we have everybody moving forward, and we have some highlights in February, March, and then some challenges those months too. But then we also have the eclipse pattern kicking in again in April, which will probably bring things to an impasse.
So, can you talk about the month of March? Do you see March?
Yeah, March I think is going to be very interesting. But before we get there, let's talk about the good days and bad days in February for the market. So there may be volatility around from so we're going to have that really nice gangbusters at the end of January. But then when we get to about the 5th, 6th, 7th of February, there could be some wrench thrown in. That is a full moon. It is the Aquarian Leo full moon, which tends to be very active. So there could be some bad news in some way that affects crypto. So those aren't good cycles. But then we're going to have a new moon on the 20th and 21st, which coincides with Venus going into Aries, which is always going to be a fresh start. It's Mardi Gras on the 21st. Those days could be kind of optimistic in February, but I think it's March that we're looking forward to because there's big astrological activity in the month of March. We have a lot of changing of the guard, which is very indicative of major collective changes. So this should be an interesting day, the 7th of March. This is the full moon with the sun in Pisces and the moon in Virgo. And that same day, Saturn goes into the Pisces for the first time in 28, 29 years. So this is a new paradigm coming in. It's also ending of some of the older cycles. Saturn has to do with collective issues. So we're going to see an interesting cycle then. But then we're going to also we're going to hit an interesting cycle around the 19th, 20th, 21st. This is around the spring equinox of the 20th of March. We're going to have a new moon in Aries on the 21st. And the big news is that Pluto is going into Aquarius on the 23rd of March. So I think that's gangbusters. I think that the markets are going to really, really pick up from about the 18th of March through the end of the month. I think we're going to come back to some levels that we haven't seen before. Because some confidence, there's some kind of collective shift or change that's going to imbue confidence back in crypto. Mm-hmm. What would be your prediction? Do you have any idea what that might be with what you know about crypto?
I think it could be that institutional investors or VC coming back into the market and buy coin. Right. That will sort of like give a boost of confidence. There's a lot.
Yeah, so throw it all out there because March, I believe, is the month when some of this was going to start happening because of the changing of the guard. Saturn changing signs for the first time in 28, 29 years. And then Pluto is changing signs into Aquarius for the first time in 240 years. That's a big one. Mm-hmm. Big one. This is where it's going into Aquarius, which is the sign of change, of revolution, of the collective. People taking back their power. So if there's any tomfoolery with crypto markets, as there has been in the past, I believe that the collective will stand up. The collective will be much more wary of who's controlling crypto coins and how they're playing games with them.
Mm-hmm. Do you see in the chart, is there a regulation coming up?
Well, so then as we go into April and May of 2023, we're hitting eclipse season, and these eclipses are still in the money signs of Taurus and Scorpio. And so we have the April 20th new moon in Taurus eclipse. That's a solar eclipse, which always will bring something to light. So something will be shown, something will be brought to light about money and the economy and how money's being manipulated, or where all kinds of revelations about financial situations, markets. And then we have the full moon lunar eclipse with the sun in Taurus and moon in Scorpio. Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, 2023, which is always a difficult time traditionally. Whenever it's that full moon, whether it's the full moon in Taurus, which happens in November, which was November 8th, or the full moon when the sun's in Taurus and it's a full moon in Scorpio, which is May 5th, 2023, it's still going to mess with money because Scorpio and Taurus are the money signs. So I think if there was going to be indication of regulation, as you asked me, those inklings are going to start coming forth in May of 2023. And if it's, how it's going to play out, that would be yet to be seen in the 3 months following that lunar eclipse on May 5th.
So the November 8th eclipse that we just had a few weeks ago, the market tanked pretty bad. I think it went from like $20,000 to like $15,500.
Yeah.
So do you see that, which eclipse was the November 8th or the April 20th?
Well, the April 20th is a solar, so that's going to be more about the beginning of something and some revelations. The one that would be the companion is the May 5th full moon lunar eclipse. I think the November 8th is worse in the big picture, but I'm worried that there will be gains that have been made and it will be looking really good in March. Like I can't even, the March energy is going to be through the roof, how it's going to affect people in so many different ways, because to have two major outer planets shift in the same month, especially around the Aries equinox, we're going to have Jupiter in Aries, we're going to have the sun in Aries, we're going to have other planets in Aries. There's going to be a lot of intensity and a lot of forward movement. But I think that the May 5th one, to answer your question, I don't know that it's going to go as low as the November 8th, but I do think there'll be, and there may be loss of gains that have been made in February, March, and early April. So it's like go forward one step, maybe back two, but maybe not all the way back to.
Oh, okay, got it.
Back to, but not all the way back to 2022.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So SL, tell us about the crypto that will survive, or what's the buzz on the cryptos that may be eliminated, or are there going to be the big boys who weather the storms and the little fish who just swim away? What's the scoop on that in the crypto community?
Yes, after the June and November collapse of Luna, Celsius, FTX, so a lot of people are very concerned, and they sort of like stick to the old coin, the boring one that is tried and true, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Doge, Beta, Litecoin. So those coins has been around forever. They have the community, they have technology, they have utility in financials to survive the bear market. But some of those coins will survive when the regulation coming in.
Right.
I think you said earlier that you saw in astrology that you will weed out.
The separation of the wheat from the chaff will probably be what starts here in March when we have these paradigm shift with the outer planets, Saturn going into Pisces and Pluto going into Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius, I also see that there's going to be the ones that stay, like you said, the big boys like Ethereum, Bitcoin, Theta. They will survive, and some of these other ones that are more like tokens and don't have currency behind them, they're going to fall away. They just can't be sustained. But also, I think that there's going to be a lot of improvements in the actual technologies behind crypto, starting with that Pluto in Aquarius that comes in at the end of March, third week of March. Pluto in Aquarius for a few months, it steps its toe in 2023. And this is where we're going to see all kinds of technologies get really amped up, including the blockchain and the crypto technology. So the ones that have been ahead of the eight ball and have continued with growth and development, I think this is when they may trot out some new developments in the certain coins and their cryptocurrencies. So it's going to be quite the exciting time. But yes, many will fall by the wayside. I've been predicting this for the last couple of years, that there was going to come a time when the coins that had gumption and staying powered would rise the cream to the top, and the other ones would fall away. So we're coming into that time period, I would say, starting in March and throughout 2023, when that's going to start happening.
Awesome. Yeah. It's happening right now.
Right. Really accelerated as we get into March for some reason. And again, it's going to be exciting to see how there are actually technological advancements in cryptocurrency that haven't even been unveiled yet. And the players, Pluto's about power. It's going to be interesting to see the players who stand behind coins. And in Aquarius, it's going to be some unconventional types or people who you wouldn't think would step up, will step into the rink backing different cryptos. That's going to be kind of interesting to see too.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
So, since you last were on my show, SL, you went from having your platform on Patreon and now you have a website. Can you tell our listeners something about what you offer on the website and how that might be different than what you were doing with Patreon, or how they can work with you through the website?
Yeah, sure. The reason I left Patreon because the website is a little bit antiquated. It doesn't have a lot of functionality. It's difficult to work. So I left Patreon in September. All my content, all my predictions, daily posts is on my website. So I have daily posts, I have accurate predictions, success stories, and then some of the coin that I recommended. Then I still have Discord where my community, my group, communicate and share their ideas on Discord. So it's similar to the old format. The only difference is I publish my information on my own website rather than on Patreon. That's the only difference.
Sounds like, though, it might give you more control and more energetically you can hold the space in a cleaner and more productive way for your followers. Speaking of which, the tips. We have to get to the part of the program where you offer tips here in December, January. What might be good coins for people to look at?
So since the market has not bottomed out, so whatever the coin that's so the coin doesn't really perform really well. It performed well like for a couple days. It will tank. It will drop again.
Right.
So from now, which is like now it's December, into mid January, since the market hasn't bottomed, whatever people buy, I think it's better people like trade if they like know
Right.
today trade that. But right now, people are just waiting for the bottom, and then when it's bottom, they buy the coin that will survive. Then those coins that will survive will do well in March, and then in 2023, 24, and 25, and so on. So right now, since the market has been going down more
Right.
than going up.
Exactly.
So if they buy today, 2 days later, it go down. So that's no
Right.
point.
Right. So it's a down market, and
It's a bear
it's
market.
going to continue to go down. And, as you're talking, a date jumped out at me, like, because I know you were asking earlier, what might be the lowest date? I just heard 11123, so the 11th of January, 2023, which would be right a few days after that full moon that's going to be volatile. So that might be a time when it's dropped and it's moving up. So before 111, I would say.
Yeah, so in summary, if anyone wants to buy coin, is between December and the second week of January.
Yeah, that full moon that happens early on, the first full moon of the year, is going to be very, very volatile and probably affect and drop the market down on the 6th of January. But like it will keep going down till I guess the 11th is the day. Oh, I know why. Interesting, Spirit. 111, Mars goes direct on the 12th, the next day. So that's might start the rally back.
Mm-hmm.
So between now and the 11th of January, you're looking at the low side.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember like April eclipse?
So in April, the eclipse pattern kicked in. The eclipse was in April 2022 it was a new moon solar eclipse on April 30th, 2022.
Okay. So there's one astrologer said that the eclipse, was it a blood moon? So I forgot what kind of eclipse.
Well, the full moon, blood moon was on May 16th.
Okay, the May 16th. So that eclipse, it crashed lunar.
Yeah.
And then she said that it would take, the full cycle would be March. The eclipse won't end, or the whole full cycle of the lunar drama eclipse will crash into next March. She said to see the completions of that eclipse, the impact will be March. The last day, not last day, but like in March. That's when you see that whole drama is completion of that eclipse.
Well,
do you know what it is?
Yeah, well, so it was a blood moon lunar eclipse on May 16th, 2022. Then we had the companion one on November 8th, 2022. So that was a bad cycle, obviously. And funny that Luna crashes on a lunar event and a lunar eclipse. So then if we go 6 months out, so November, December, January, that's 3 months. That's where the most dire, that's why the market's going to be the lowest between November 8th and around January 8th, but I say January 11th. And then we have 3 more months where the eclipse fallout isn't as strong as the first 3 months. So then we're going to we go to January, February, March, things are going to start clearing up. So I agree with that. Plus, we have all this additional energy, but the eclipses start again the 20th of April 2023, and that Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, lunar eclipse. So that's going to get dicey a bit again, but it won't be as low as it was. SL, thank you so much for coming back on Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine and giving us your crypto wisdom.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So we used to do a monthly podcast, and then I said that it's better that we do a quarterly podcast so we can cover the 3 months. And then we come back 3 months later, we discuss the next 3 months. So that has been the change in our schedules.
Right. So I think we'll be looking at doing another one in early March to get everybody ready for go time. Thank you, SL.
Thank you for having me today.
I hope you enjoyed this episode with my guest, SL369, discussing cryptocurrency into 2023. Remember to download, share, subscribe, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine, sending healing crypto currents through the quantum field.